I grew up on the land, and it's been in the family since about the mid-1800s. Even now, my nieces, who are the 9th generation of our family to live in that area, get to play under trees that their great-grandfather planted that were cuttings from their great-great-grandparents. My whole life we've seen turtles. This spring I was canoeing and we saw an alligator snapping turtle of a size I had never seen before. It was just really a massive dinosaur-looking specimen. If they can live up to 200 years in the wild, as some scientists speculate, literally 200 years ago, one of my ancestors could have seen that very same turtle. Even though the locals knew they were here, the scientists are just now finding out.
Derek sent Jim Godwin an email about a large alligator snapper that he saw in Mud Creek. And so I reached out to Derek expressing my interest in coming out to his family's property to do some research, to do some trapping. The Urban Turtle Project is a conservation project aimed at documenting the turtle populations that inhabit the many urban waterways around the Birmingham area. But another important goal is to get members of the public involved in the research so they can become more aware of the great turtle diversity we have in the state.
I enjoy things that make a difference. So, and I feel like it's a way for me to put my small input in for people who are interested in environmentalism. You know, start somewhere, learn what you need to learn here, because it's plenty to learn, and then take your learning or whatever you did and go on, and then try to make your difference.
People tend to think that wildlife is restricted to more natural spaces, but Birmingham is lucky to have some really interesting and cool green and blue spaces. Where you see more diversity are better quality habitats. I started this project with a focus on Alabama map turtles, and that is a historically understudied species. And in just 3 years, we have built one of the better data sets that I believe is out there on that species.
This is a spiny softshell turtle. It's one of the softshell turtle species that we have in Alabama. It's an impressive turtle, very cool, and feels very different than our typical turtle shell. Well, Alabama is a really special place because we've got so many different microhabitats. You can go all the way from the mountains to the ocean, and in between there's all this interesting geology as well. And because we have so much water, and also water that ranges in type, that just gives us a lot of opportunity to have a lot of diversity of plants and animals in the state. So it makes it really exciting if you're a scientist.
So here we've got the common musk turtle, Sternothrus odoratus. It gets its name musk turtle, and its scientific name odoratus because they produce, when they're really frightened, they produce a musk. I guess only weird turtle biologists go around sniffing the back ends of turtles. Alabama is ranked #1 nationally. We also are considered a global hotspot, so we have more turtle species in Alabama per area than anywhere else in the world. A lot of what drives our biodiversity in turtles in Alabama are our many varied river systems and watersheds. A lot of those different river systems and drainages have been isolated from each other for a long time, and for a turtle like this turtle is For the most part, fully aquatic. It rarely leaves the water except to nest or maybe comes out to bask. But they don't crawl overland. You don't see these guys crawling over mountains and stream divides and things like that. So that's what's fueled a lot of the evolution that's taken place in Alabama, which has led to turtle diversity in the state.
We never know what we're going to catch. You set a trap, you think you've got it in a great spot, river conditions look great, but you never know if you're going to catch anything or not. I've been trapping alligator snapping turtles out here since 2004 on and off, and so I have a number of these turtles marked. There's a learning curve with how to set nets and where to set nets, and you have to come out and you have to actually look for these things, focus on trying to catch them.
So the places to set turtle traps are not always the best places to go boating.
You know, so the alligator snapping turtle is a very dramatic species. When you see one up close, it makes an impression. There's still many things we don't know about it because it's cryptic. The eyes here on the side of the head and the top of the head. Another distinguishing character is these scales on the shell are called scutes. All right, these are called supermarginals, which are unique to the alligator snapping turtle. At this point, she has no predators except man. But the very tip of the snout is very soft and pliable. Now, I've never seen any of this in the literature, but I think they use this to go along through the substrate and kind of probe around and look for food, because they'll eat native mussels, and they'll eat other smaller turtles and things like that. And right now the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service is reviewing the status of the alligator snapping turtle. Can you smell her?
Yeah.
They have a distinctive musky odor.
Yeah.
So we've got, these are the marginal scutes, and there's 12 around each side, and by marking different ones, we come up with a unique code. There are things about the biology of these turtles we just don't know. Only until we've had people out doing this have we begun to really learn more about these turtles.
Yeah, nobody's home.
Yeah, since
Can get it last footage. Oh, now he's kicking sand out. There you go. Here in Connecticut National Forest, we have a long-term mark recapture study of gopher tortoises ongoing. Gopher tortoises are exciting not only because they're charismatic, but more so because they're a keystone species. And so there's a lot of threatened and endangered species here in the coastal plain of the southeast U.S. that we care a lot about conserving, and gopher tortoises are really important for maintaining populations of many of those species. They dig a burrow that ranges in depth and length from somewhere around 10 to upwards of 30 feet. It enables animals to have a buffer from extreme weather events. Fire is a very critically important component of the ecosystem. And of course, when a fire rips through a system, it tends to burn anything on the ground. And so the burrow provides a shelter during fire. I think across the tortoises range, one of the biggest threats is kind of a combined effect of habitat degradation and habitat loss. And it becomes kind of impossible to tease those things apart because they really depend on fire, and fire becomes progressively more difficult to prescribe or to use as a management tool as environments become more developed. Recognizing the value of public lands, that is first and foremost going to be what saves tortoises from extinction and what saves this ecosystem from extinction. Or unfortunately, the lack of value of public lands is what's going to be the death knell for their conservation.
This is a Alabama map turtle.
male Alabama map turtle. The reason why they're called map turtles, these markings on their shell kind of look like the topography markings on a map. Sipsey Fork, like many streams in Alabama, is highly diverse. It has a lot of species that only occur here and nowhere else. For my interest, it has the flattened musk turtle, along with 8 other species of aquatic turtles that occur here, but the flattened musk turtles of special importance. They are Alabama's only endemic species of reptile. They only occur in Alabama and no other state. They're so endangered and there's so few people working with them that I really felt this responsibility, and it's almost like my turtle species that I'm trying to make sure doesn't go extinct. We have all these various geologic regions across the state, and on top of that we have what's called the fall line, which divides the rocky uplands from the sandy lowlands. What that's done is it's created this change and just this break in habitat. We have this musk turtle species that's evolved this flattened shell shape to be able to get away from predators and floods, to be able to get in these deep rock crevices. Really the number one issue for the flattened musk turtle and many species in these streams above the fall line is that we have all this sediment washing in from development, coal mining, that are washing into these streams and filling in this rock habitat. For the flattened musk turtle, it's very urgent. They've experienced massive declines in the past 30, 40 years, and really Bankhead's one of the last places where they still have viable populations. So we got a young male flattened musk turtle here, an ornery one at that. Usually they're not so ornery and bitey, but you kind of see why they're so endearing. They're real cute, have this really cool head pattern. Oh, he's biting me now. He's about probably 3 or 4 years old, and this actually is giving me a pretty good pinch. You can tell they're if you ever get bit by one, you can tell they're molluscivores. They have quite the jaws, even for this little sized turtle. We should be worried about the quality of our water systems if these species that have lived in these streams for many millions of years are no longer all of a sudden able to live here now. We have so many endangered species in Alabama. We've lost around 100 species or so in this state. Almost all of those are aquatic species. Snails, mussels, crayfish, stuff that's nowhere near as glamorous as a turtle species. I don't think flattened musk turtles have more of a right to be here than a critically endangered mussel. But I will say that flattened musk turtles are able to act as kind of what we call an umbrella species, in that if we protect this habitat and we bring back the flattened musk turtles, in turn we're going to be protecting habitat and bolstering those populations of other endangered species.
Share the beach is actually called that because we humans actually share the beach with not only the sea turtles but all the other creatures who live on our Alabama's coastline. We actually have 3 different species: the loggerhead, Kemp's ridley, and the green sea turtle. Starting in the month of May, they'll come up from the Gulf of Mexico, and then they find a spot to lay their nest. If they sense something's wrong, then they'll go back into the water, and that's called a false crawl.
Probably one of the biggest threats facing sea turtles now is coastal development. So all the beaches where they nest are being developed. We're putting up condominiums and high-rises which have all kinds of negative effects on the turtles and their nesting.
And it takes about 50 days or so for those eggs to incubate. And it's amazing to see about 120 sea turtles going towards the water. I think turtles are important because they're a sign of the health of the environment.
What I find is that when people of all ages, not just kids, actually get to hold an animal or get right next to the tank and look at all of its features, it really does change how they feel about things.
Everybody, I'll say this, everybody likes turtles, but I know not everybody likes turtles, but you know, how can you not like a turtle?
I see families, I see children out here enjoying time in nature, enjoying learning about turtles. If we can just maintain that and hopefully increase that level of enjoyment over their lifetime, that will benefit what we're trying to do with our work here.
A lot of great things have been happening with the conservation of turtle species in Alabama. The last, 15 years have really been a huge, I would say, success story. Sure, we've had our problems, but we're really taking the turtle by the shell, so to speak. We're really starting to see some of those conservation measures pay off.